shots, the tank gets 1, so it's actually 3 eights. So 3 at 8 or less, 3 dice, 8 or less. Only 1! Oh, man!
The museum started to do public war games on weekends just after Katrina, trying to bring in a new group of folks interested in World War II. And the weekend games were so successful that we knew there were war game conventions happening around the country. We said, let's throw one here at the National World War II Museum. And it's been wonderful. There's a lot of different games replicating all different facets of World War II, land, sea, and air, all different theaters. And the games run from ones where you are in charge of an entire country, like you're Churchill running England during the course of the war, to ones where you're actually a commander in a tank. The scenario is set up the way it started historically, but then the player gets to choose actions which might be completely different than happened in real history.
The King Tigers and the Panthers will be along the road. The National World War II Museum was having a convention, the Heat of Battle II convention, and they asked for some people who play war games to come down here and kind of display what games they play and the historical basis behind it. Fortunately, I play historical games pretty much only. My game is based on the Battle of the Bulge. This particular one is the critical defense on Elsenborn Ridge, which occurred north on the northern shoulder of the Bulge, and the American 99th and 2nd Division ended up defending there against the 12th SS Panzer Division and the 277th Division, German Division. And fortunately, what happened was the weather was so bad and the road structure was so bad that the German tanks couldn't get formed up to make a penetration on the American lines, giving the Americans time to build their fortification, get the reserves in, so the American tanks could come in and do the counteroffensive. What I'm gaming is kind of a what if. What if the Germans had sent the tanks in first and broken through? Could the Americans have saved it?
6, yes.
Awesome, you got
Okay,
fire. You
excellent.
still have to roll a 6. Kill that observer thing. Okay.
Bang.
Well,
One
shoot
shot.
Salt this guy to the front. Can they support fire onto him?
Sure.
Anybody within 4 inches.
Yeah, and then those guys,
But that ain't happening. I'm glad to take this out the hard way.
then you'd be dealing with like,
Main guns fire?
Main guns and machine guns. One shot for each main gun and 1 shot for each machine gun on the turret.
Yeah, you got the firepower too. Go ahead, roll.
Yeah, so fives are better with the main guns. Fives are better with the machine guns. Yes, 1.
I can probably run 4 to 6 players on this one, being a smaller map. But if I have other players, I can assign like artillery units to a player, and all his job is to run artillery. I can assign a platoon to a player, and his job is to run that platoon. And the way the game system works is that the platoons are so detailed that one player isn't just felt left out by running one small platoon, because he has a lot to do. And everything he does is critical to what his side is doing. So it really is a good simulation of what it is.
2 E's are regular 6s. 2 are regular. That's a very, very, very bad roll. 2 6s. I'm gonna do that one. Nah, no chance. So 1 hit. And then the planes. I'm gonna redeem myself with the planes. No. Here it comes.
Yeah, I go to conventions a few a year, and this one is actually one of the more sentimental ones. Because how often do you get to sit under a C-47 transport plane and play a World War II game? It's very cool.
you need to miss them all again.
4 6s.
Miss them all, miss them all.
1, 2. I got your planes.
You had 4 planes?
2, 4, and 3 planes and a gun. So they all
the
go
gun-
towards that.
Does his
Planes
gun
are
get the
dead,
fire?
and 1 guy. That's all I got.
Actually,
His,
Yeah, that was.
It's called the War Game World War II. It's actually the Guinness World Record holder for the world's largest board game, which is kind of fun. And it's a complete one. It's the entire war, as opposed to a lot of guys do different theaters, different sections, different battles. This is, as much as you can all encompass the whole war. So you've got, Germany and Italy and Japan versus United States, Britain, France, and China, and of course, what I missed, Russia.
This fighter is one adjacent space. You could dispatch this in, but it wouldn't arrive until round 2, if there's a round 2. If I smear you on round 1, it just goes back. But now, of course,
if your round 2 is not going to look good for you because I'm going to have more planes to you. Because we also have air supremacy where planes first hit each other and then additional shots spill down to land or sea. You can start in 39 or 42, and we're going to start in 42 today. So it's kind of into the war. It's that point, the turning point when the Axis was at its most strongest, and then the Allies had to, was just getting their machine going. So, and then it's a race to see if if the bad guys can conquer the world before that.
If he gets both
If I get both of them, I kill that general, baby. It's over. Come on.
Just any unit.
Come on. Come on, I got the odds with me.
Yes!
Oh, he survived. Barely. Barely.
Hitler got out on the last plane.
The last plane out. This is a very famous battle. It's very tank heavy for the Western Front, and for new gamers, it's a lot of fun to run tanks, to push tanks. Also, it has some very unique equipment in it for the Germans. They took German field guns and mounted them on French chassis. So you see a lot of unique vehicles that you never see anywhere else in the war in this battle. The table layout is taken from the maps of the area. All the units are built to scale, 1 to 5 vehicles, 1 to 50 infantry. We're using a set of rules called Command Decision Test of Battles to represent how the units would move, act, and fire on the battlefield. Cross country for tanks is usually 12. So if you're moving all out, you're going to move a hasty that's 24 inches on the board. Disadvantage of moving hasty is a -2 to gunnery. When you shoot, you're not going to be very accurate. I've been wargaming now for about 25 years, and some of these were some of my very first models to start with. I have an extensive collection, but to build for this battle, usually we choose a battle about a year ahead that we begin building up for, collecting all the specialized pieces, and then we'll run that game at a circuit of conventions for about a year.
My dad, his grandfather, was in Patton's Third Army, and he landed in France about a month after D-Day. So we've always been interested. From when I was a kid, I've been interested, and I guess Michael got interested through me. So we've always supported the museum, and we're on the mailing list. And so when we got a mailing about this gaming weekend, Michael was real excited to come out here and check it out. So that's how we got here.
It makes you think, and it's always different. Because then you get to match your skills and strategies against others who are different. And you each learn from one another and pick up new ideas.
I like the social aspects, meeting people, having common interests, as well as the historical element of it. Certainly learning more about what our veterans have done to serve our country. You really learn a lot about the men and the influences that shaped our history.
The decision making, especially this particular the rule set, there's you have to make a decision and you have to stick with it. And there's that, and it's trying to get into the head of your opponent and try to figure out what he's going to do, counter it, and he's doing the same thing at the same time. It's that. It's the. There's also the social aspect. You can get the same thing with a computer game, but the computer game you're only interacting with the machine. Here, you're interacting with 6 or 8 other people, and it makes it more social, a lot more camaraderie.
For us gamers, and we love the drama of it. It's not only the historical factors, because we love, we're all history buffs, but you don't have to know anything about history to play. You can just sit down and start going. And it's the dice rolling, it's the excitement, and we get really into it. For us, it's like a football game. We just scream and yell at it as much as we would if we were screaming for our team. So it's hard to explain. We're really into it.